Well, I think some of it was that's kind of what they do. Almost about half of their total number of shots are threes, so they're going to kind of go up. Porter's the one guy that takes some tough ones. Um, Again, I think that the multiple rotations at times we were not quite good enough to get there. They got us on a couple missed threes that came back out for some more threes. But I think in terms of their numbers, I don't know how this game will actually match up, but that's about what they do. About almost half their shots are threes. So, we talked about that they're going to go up. A lot of times it's not necessarily taking them away. I thought at times we gave up too many uncontested ones. That was the biggest difference, I think. And I don't know, we'll see tomorrow what the numbers look like in terms of how well we contested, but certainly it felt like they, got the ones they made, I mean, Porter made a couple tough ones, right? Contested, but some of the other ones I thought were not as contested as we needed them to be.
You guys are obviously very, very shorthanded right now. So guys are in different roles, rotations are different. I mean, how does this get better that you guys get home?
Yeah, I mean, I think with listen, there's a lot to that. There were certainly guys in different roles, rotations, whatever it may be, but like I didn't think we attacked appropriately in the first half at all on offense. I think if you look at it, we had 7 assists. We've been a really good ball movement team. I thought we got away from that. There was way too much dribbling and trying to drive the ball to the rim where we didn't finish particularly well. We didn't really generate a lot of shots for each other. We didn't help off each other. I think there were opportunities in certain situations for us to have better awareness of what is going on, who's guarding who, who's where, what's happening. For example, like you know, and he didn't have a great night shooting, but there are times that they're switching, with Vooch and he's rolling into the post. We have to have an awareness as a guard on him in the post, right? Or, hey, there's a guy that we can create or get them cross matched. And we didn't do a great job of that in the first half. I thought in the second half we were better at that, but not good enough. So some of that is going to be a learning curve for some of these guys of understanding like what's going on, who's guarding you, how are they guarding, who do you want to put in actions, who you want to keep out of actions, and I think you have to be able to do that randomly on the fly. And we talked about that at halftime. And I thought we were better at it, but in the first half, I thought we got really, really too stagnant away from how we needed to play. And then the other part of it too, even when we did get stops, I didn't think we ran very well in transition. Didn't generate normal, I thought, transition points. We got some, but I didn't think in the first half we ran particularly well.
Really, I know coaches like to talk about next guy up mentality, and guys having a chance that might not get the minutes to have those minutes. Is there enough here for you guys to even get the job done? I mean, when you look at the losses the last 10 days, those are teams that, at least on paper, you guys had a chance in the schedule to make up some games, to make up some ground. How do you get these guys that might be forced into roles they're not used to buy in and believe that they are the next guy?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly feel that way. Now we got to go out and perform. We got to play well too. And like I've said this before, like in any NBA team, when you lose players, there's always an impact on your team. It's just the reality. It's not an excuse. Different guys want opportunities, and you get that opportunity. You want to take advantage of it, right? But for us, I think some of the challenge for us tonight was the primary ball handling problems. There was way too much of a load on Josh Giddey's plate, and I thought there was way too much of a load on Io's plate. With that being said, we got to then use Vooch as a facilitator, and we got to cut and move better off him. I mean, to answer your question, I just believe if you've got 10 guys out there and they're all committed to helping and working with each other and covering for each other, I'm not saying you're going to win every game, but you can be in a game. Perfect example is the Orlando game. Kevin Huerter went out early, and Trey finished the game. Maybe he would have been another ball handler, but we can be better than certainly I think we were tonight. We may not have been good enough to win, but I think we're better than what we showed and capable of playing better than we did. And there was a lot of breakdowns I thought on both ends, the floor, both offensively and defensively. And listen, I'm not going to make any excuses because I always think players want opportunities to play and compete. And you know what? For some guys, this may be the best opportunity they got. And to me, you should be playing all out, crazy hard, and really, really physical. And say, listen up, I'm gonna, if this ends because we get healthy, at least I made a.
Do you think guys
I didn't think that no, I did not think we did that. I don't, that was a disappointing part to me. I think some of it stemmed from the fact that I thought we got bogged down offensively, and I thought that bogged us down in transition. I thought the way we played on offense, I thought it bled into everything else, so I don't think that we, played like that. Like we needed to generate some more stops to get out and run. And, in the first half, neither team shot it particularly well. They shot it better in the second half, but I think we could have done a better job there.
There was this mention of primary ball handling issues, even when Kobe was missing earlier in the year. We knew this wasn't really something you seem to mention a ton. What sort of change and how much have you been thinking about the sort of pressure that's on Josh as a ball handler?
Well, we have two guards out, so you don't you need I think I said earlier in the year we played multiple ball handlers, so I'm gonna you're gonna try to have multiple handlers out there in terms of facilitating and generating the offense. So tonight we tried to stagger and play Io and Josh as best we could, but it's just the situation we're in. So if we're whole, then I'm not as concerned about it, but we're not. So what I'm saying is I don't think when we're a whole there's too much of a load on Josh. I thought tonight, because of the backcourt situation, there was a lot on him. And quite honestly, I think in the first half he could have been much, much better in terms of recognizing matchups and things were going on. I thought in the second half he did a terrific job, and the game was a lot easier for him in the second half.
Obviously, circumstances, handed, rebounding, things we talked about the last couple of weeks. But it seems like, not before about tonight, but over the last week, 10 days, the team has sort of abandoned this style of play that not only was successful, but even earlier in the season when it wasn't successful, it was appealing, free-flowing. It seems like they've kind of abandoned that and gone to more isolation. But is that a function of how teams are out rebounding or getting the free throw line, or the shorthanded? What do you see in the change of style of play?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I think a couple things, three things happen that end up breaking flows of games, in my opinion, that can break any team's identity. One, if you foul too much and send teams to the free throw line, right? Two, if you're getting crushed on the glass and it's just offensive rebound, you're inbounding the basketball, right? And then the third thing would be if you turn the ball over. And in that first quarter, we turned the ball over entirely too much. They had 20 points tonight against off of our turnovers. So those have been some issues for us that have probably taken away. Now, to what I was trying to explain before, I thought in the half court we didn't need to play the way we did. To your point, it was guys just trying to drive. Now listen, we're trying to get a piece of the paint, trying to get downhill. But I've said this all along: we're not a team that can do it on our own. We'll put the ball in the guys' hands, and that's what we had. We had this repetitive drive, not understanding who's guarding you, who's where you can create some help, where you can get two on the ball, where you can get that ball moving. And like I said, in the second half, I thought we were better. But in the first half, we dug ourselves such a hole the way we played offensively. We had 7 assists. I know you're not going to have a lot of assists when you don't shoot the ball well. But I thought we were stagnant. I thought we were slowed. I didn't think we fast break very well. I didn't think we cut and moved. I did think, to their defense, Brooklyn, I thought they blew up a lot of our screening action where we got bodied and blown off screens like that. That hurt us too. So this has been part of the things that I've tried to talk about is, when transition gets taken away from us with the fact that everybody in the league's playing faster right now, you've got to be able to manufacture and generate offense. And generally, it's usually through a lot of physicality. It's physically screening. It's physically getting off the screens. It's physically going to the backboard to offensive rebound. It's running. It's moving. It's cutting. There's a physical component to it, and, I think when you look at good offensive teams, if something gets taken away, there's something else they go to. They get to the free throw line, or they get to the offensive glass, or they get out in transition, or they're a good shooting team. There's multitude of ways. And for us in the half court, we're going to have to rely on each other more. And I didn't think we did that tonight.
But it also seemed like, earlier they were looking for their teammates where they get down, they get into the paint, swing.
Yep.
Let's get in the paint. Let me see if I can finish.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. That seems like a mentality change.
Yeah, and I think it's been something that we've talked about too. It's been there's a lot of layers to this because the best shot in the game besides the free throw, is the rim. And we've had games, quite honestly, the last 4 games, where we have taken quite a few more rim shots than our opponent. And with that being said, you would think that that's a good thing.
You get 10 blocked every game.
When you end up get 10 blocks, when you don't finish, and you have teams shooting 78% at the rim, and sometimes we're shooting 52, 44, 55, and you're getting outscored there, and you're actually taking more shots there. That's where we got to get better, is those recognition of when we're leaving and going to the lane, like who's coming over, is it realistically a probable finish, and do we need to stop, turn, and pivot? Like we had one play, I think it was opposite our bench in the first half, where I think Josh did a great job. Like he drove, he got cut off, he turned right back around, he threw the ball right back to Iowa, and he made a 3 in the corner. We didn't have enough of that. We're trying to get that. We have to get to the rim. That's part of the reason why you get fouled, you get offensive rebound. But the decision making there's got to be better. It just does. And we've talked and tried to work a lot of that. And when you have different players out, like we've had out in terms of primary ball handlers, and this is what I was talking about, the load is on Josh. He can't find every play every single time. And Josh is competitive enough. He tries to do that. But sometimes he even started the game with a couple turnovers right away where he's in the air, he's leaving his feet, and he's just got to play off 2 feet and just make the simple play. And we've got to get back to that. And that's probably some of the stuff that's happened with some of our backcourt players and some of our personnel being out. It's just part of this thing that we've got to deal with. But you're exactly right. That's been a huge difference for us is we've gotten to the paint and gotten to the rim way more than we did a year ago. But, like last game against Orlando, it was 10 blocks. And that's not even counting 19 turnovers. Like those are hard margins to overcome. Mm-hmm.
Is it coming off the floor too early? Is it what they're doing in the air? What are you seeing?
In those plays, generally it's always early pickups. The minute you pick up the ball early, you're in trouble. And we need another dribble, an extra dribble into the paint, into the teeth of the defense. But I also understand too, there are times in those early pickup where hands get in there and fouls are drawn. But when you are playing off of one leg, or you pick your dribble at the free throw line and you're playing off of one leg, like they're hard. And you know what, like for us right now, we got to get better at this. And this is, I think, on myself, our staff and team, everybody included, we got to get better at this. We take the second most paint 2-point shots in the league, and sometimes we make really, really great decisions. And there's other times where we got to be better at that. That's where we got to get to. We're doing the right things in terms of getting there. But it's those split-second decisions of do I shoot, do I stop, do I spray it out, do I pass it to the next guy? And that's an area I think we got to get better at.
You guys are 29th in restricted field goal. Do you think that's contributed to that indecision?
29th in
restricted field goal percentage.
Yeah.
You're second.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're first or second in attempts at the rim, but I think
yes.
You're 29th in percentage. But my question is, do you think that indecision or that is leading to the poor percentage?
No, I think the one thing is you would sit there and say a shot in a restricted area is good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So you want to take them. But the ones that Julie, I think, is talking about where it's not the restricted area, you're picking the ball up at the free throw line and you're going off of one leg and you're shooting runners or floaters. Those aren't great. But there are some of those shots that, to your point, we've gotten there, but we haven't finished great there, and we've got to work with our guys to be better. Because there are some times where, we're there, and it's still getting blocked, or it gets contested and we're there and we really have to shoot it, high off the window. And some of those shots, to be honest with you, don't want to necessarily pass up because they're at the rim. You know what I mean? It's hard to sit there and say, I'd be like, Billy, I'm at the rim. I get it. So there's a fine line there. And you try to show situations of what's open in terms of those decision-making parts, and that's been a challenge for us. It's been some of the finishing. I agree.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Right now it's hard to say. Obviously, it's not been a great run for us. But just gotta stick with it, continue to work, continue to believe in what we're doing. Hopefully, when we get some guys back, it'll help as well. But again, everybody's going through injuries, so it's not an excuse. We just have to find a way. Up and downs are part of the NBA season. I just have to figure it out ourselves. There's Nothing else is going to do it for us. Nobody else is going to do it for us. It just has to be us. This group of guys that we have, we just have to find a way to figure it out. Get back to playing at a level that we know we can, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't been there.
Do you feel like guys are, as a unit collectively, are all still bought into what you guys are trying to accomplish as a group?
Yeah, I do. I think guys believe in what the coaching staff wants us to do out there, and the system they want us to play. When we've done it well, it results have come. We might have not always won the game, but we played better. I think just for whatever reason, we just haven't been at our best lately. Even in Orlando and Indy was a little maybe better in certain areas, but it just still wasn't where we needed to be. And tonight, obviously, it just wasn't good at all. So just I have to figure it out. Again, it's just how it is in the NBA. Tomorrow we have a day to work on some stuff, try to improve on some things, and then come back again on Friday and try to play better and try to win. And again, in this league, one win can change everything. One win can make you feel a lot better and might start up a streak. So it's just now we have 2 games before we get the 4-day break, which will be good for us to regroup. So hopefully, if we're able to win these 2 and get us a little bit of momentum and use the next 4 days after that to work on some things and go from there.
Coach, I'm no body language expert by any means, but there were times tonight it just felt like you were sort of on edge. I mean, I'm trying not to read too hard into that, but is that just the collective buildup of the frustration? Like, what is that?
Me personally or the team?
Yeah, you.
It's just a rough game. I know for me, just didn't play really well, and the team wasn't playing well. So, you get down and you lose. Frustration is going to show at times, and so just part of it. Just didn't have a great game, and I was just frustrated, mainly with myself, and I just wasn't doing my job, and so that's it.
Coach, how does this team find kind of its creativity again on offense, especially in the half court when you have multiple guards out?
So I think we just have to play with a little more energy out there, just be a little more decisive. I feel like we hesitate at times. Also, I think we've become maybe a little repetitive in things we're doing as far as the reads and things out of the actions that we're running. I think we early on we're doing much more different things, and it was very efficient for us. I think now we've kind of become a little stagnant. I think in the first half tonight, when the ball wasn't going in and we didn't score, and they were kind of building a lead, we kind of started trying to do it ourselves a little too much, and which happens. I think it's natural at times, but we just I think have to get back to playing with a little more energy into the ball, moving, playing for each other, getting different actions. Teams now they know the way we play it also, so they're gonna try to take some things away, and we just have to use that sometimes to our advantage and use our counters and have better reads. I think also our transition game hasn't been as good. Also lately, I think we have to do a better job running, getting out in transition, getting some easy ones. I don't think we didn't generate a lot of threes either tonight as well. Things like that. But I just think a little more creativity from us players on the court. Try to do a little different things. I think would help us a little bit.